Palantir had a very strong Friday. The stock closed at about $171.43, up $7.07, or roughly 4.3%. That's quite a bounce after a rough stretch, and it signals that buyers are stepping back in. But the question is, what's really behind the move, and is this the start of something more, or just a short-term rebound? Let's dig in. One of the most obvious drivers of Friday's strength was the broader macro backdrop. Inflation data has been a bit more friendly than feared, and more importantly, investors are increasingly betting that the Federal Reserve may be more dovish than previously assumed. There's growing confidence that rate hikes are done, or at least that rate cuts might be on the table sooner rather than later. That kind of shift in expectations tends to breathe life back into tech and high multiple growth names like Palantir, which are sensitive to interest rates because their valuations are heavily dependent on future earnings. Another factor is contract momentum. Palantir continues to secure meaningful government contracts, especially in defense. One recent example, a multi-million-dollar contract from the U.S. Army for the Next Gen Command and Control Program, NGC-2, which could generate recurring revenues. Also, there's the Maven Smart System contract that got expanded. These kinds of wins reinforce the belief that Palantir isn't just riding AI hype, but delivering in mission-critical areas. For many investors, these contracts help validate the long-term thesis. Retail investor behavior also seems to be playing a part. While many tech names have been under pressure, Palantir remains one of the more popular names among retail platforms. According to some recent indices, Palantir and a few others have bucked the trend of retail pulling back from big tech. That base of support can amplify rebounds, especially when sentiment improves or when macro signals turn more favorable. Now, even with all that, it's not without risk. The stock had already suffered a steep pullback over recent trading days. A strong rebound after big losses is promising, but it doesn't by itself erase structural concerns. Valuation is still a big one. Palantir trades at very rich multiples. Future earnings and revenue growth need to be stellar to justify these levels. Any hint of contract delays, margin compression, or weaker guidance will probably trigger sharp downside. Investors are well aware that a lot is already priced in. Then there's the AI narrative itself. Academic skepticism has been growing. Some studies, like one from MIT, argue that many companies are launching generative AI programs but not seeing significant returns. There's an argument that the real world doesn't always live up to the promise. For Palantir, this means expectations are high. If commercial customers grow adoption but the ROI isn't obvious or transformative, people may start to question how much of the upside is real. Tech sector rotation is another factor. When macro signals improve, money often flows back into growth names. But that rotation can reverse quickly. If inflation surprises, or job market data comes in hotter, or if the Fed signals caution, that optimism can evaporate. Growth stocks will likely be more volatile than defensives in that environment. So, given all this, what should people watching Palantir be looking for in the week ahead? First, key technical levels. The $170 to $175 zone is going to be important. If PLTR can hold above $170, it suggests buyers are able to defend that area and maybe build momentum upward. If resistance appears near $175 or $180 and the stock fails to push through, that could invite profit-taking again. On the downside, support around $155, $160 remains a benchmark to watch closely. If PLTR falls below that decisively, we might see another leg down. Second, news flow around contracts. Any new government or commercial deals will help anchor optimism. Also, pay attention to how contract renewals go, and whether Palantir can share specifics about recurring revenue streams, deployment timelines, etc. Clarity helps reduce perceived risk. Third, Fed-related signals and macro data. Inflation reports, labor market numbers, and any commentary from the Fed will matter. If we get more dovish tones, lower yields, that's generally good for Palantir. If the opposite, that is, inflation surprises, hawkish signals, stocks like PLTR may retrace quickly. Fourth, earnings and guidance from Palantir or competitors in the AI space. Even almost any earnings update in the tech AI space tends to shift sentiment, so what peers do might matter almost as much as what Palantir does. Finally, watch volume and sentiment. It's easy to see a price move and say the trend is restoring, but if volume is thin or if insiders are selling, that tells a different story. If we see strong volumes on up days, and positive sentiment from analysts, that suggests confidence. If instead gains happen on weak volume, or rumors of insider selling increase, that suggests caution. In sum, the Friday move is nothing to ignore. It shows there is still belief in Palantir's platform, its contracts, and in AI more broadly. But this is likely early innings in what could be a more extended rebound, or, alternatively, it could be a relief rally before another test of support. For long-term investors, if you believe in Palantir's commitment to AI infrastructure, government and defense contracts, and its ability to scale commercial deployments, today's price might look attractive. For more tactical traders, this is a moment to watch and possibly take partial profits, or at least protect your gains with stops. Thanks for tuning in. If you found this useful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts. Do you think Palantir's comeback has legs? Or is it still fragile? Are you looking to buy the dip or wait for more confirmation? I'll be keeping an eye on this next week. Hope you are too.